Hello, my name is Dr. Shahbaz Ansari, and I've recently cleared my PLAB-2 with flying colors, and as of now I am fully GMC registered and licensed and just waiting for my NHS journey to start. And meanwhile, I've been trying to mentor, I've been trying to guide my fellow PLAB-2 candidates who want to start their NHS journey. And in order to help them, I'm just doing a small bit from myself by guiding them, by mentoring them, by telling them and answering the questions that arise in my head when I used to prepare for my PLAB-2 exam. And I've been doing many sessions in order to answer those questions. And I used to upload them on YouTube, but I've been really busy, so it's a bit difficult for me to schedule those sessions. But yeah, I'm planning to do them. And meanwhile, I would like to tell you 10 things that a PLAB-2 examinee, a PLAB-2 candidate needs to avoid to do in their respective exam. So yeah, if you like this video, please like it, share it and subscribe so you can get more content related to PLAB-2. And if you've got any questions, you can always ping me, you can always comment in the chat box or email, DM me on my Instagram, and you can always share the topics that you would want me to address and do a video on. So yeah, 10 things that a PLAB-2 candidate needs to avoid in their PLAB-2 exam. And first thing is that you should always practice these things in your practice as well, because the kind of mistakes that you make in the practice, it's very likely that you will repeat those very mistakes in your respective exam as well. So yeah, just try to abstain from making these 10 don'ts in your practice as well, so you will avoid them in your respective exam. So yeah, the first thing is, do not start with a bland introduction. A doctor should always work on the introduction, because that's the very first impression that you're giving to your simulator, to your patient. Okay, you should always open up with a smile, like, hello, my name is Dr. Shahbaz Ansari and I'm one of the doctors in the department. So how may I help? Or could you please confirm me your name and age? So this is a very strong introduction and a very determined introduction that, okay, the doctor knows his or her things. And you should always start with a very strong introduction and just work a bit on your introduction. Depends upon you and your liking, whichever pattern you like. And introduction is really important, be it a face-to-face conversation, be it a conversation with your colleague, or be it a conversation on the telephone. So yeah, introductions are really important. So yeah, please work on your introduction and do not make a bland introduction. Okay, so the second thing I would like to advise, that do not address the patient or your simulator or your fellow colleagues you're doing a station with the wrong name. A lot of doctors tend to practice with generic names like John, Andrew, or Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith. So just do not practice with the same names again and again, because it's very likely that you will address the person with John or Andrew or any other practice name that you practice in your session. So yeah, just thoroughly read the name of the person and address them with the name it is written in your station respectively. If it's a young person and two names are written like John Smith, so yeah, you can always address him with John. But if the person is an elderly male, be it 50 or 60 or 65, or female, and the person's name is John Smith, you can always ask him, okay, how would you like me to address you? So, okay, doctor, you can call me John. Okay, doctor, you can call me Mrs. Smith. Then you can address them with Mrs. Smith. But if the person is saying only one name, so yeah, just go with that one name. So do not say the wrong name. The third thing that I would advise you is that do not ask too many close-ended questions, because when you ask too many close-ended questions, you tend to waste a lot of time in order to ask those close-ended questions, and you will get a lot of answers. So that actually wastes a lot of your time, because once you have too much information, at times you tend to just hold on to the question that you know and you want to ask everything. So yeah, try to ask more open-ended questions, which will give you more information and it will save you a lot of time as well. So yeah, just practice to ask, do not ask a lot of close-ended questions. Number four thing which I would advise you to not do as a PLAB-2 candidate would be, do not show overt empathy. Do not show too much sympathy, because at times the simulators have so many questions in their mind that the simulators would want to act so much that they do not have time, or they do not have the slot to show their empathy, to show the need, they want sympathy. They might as well tell you with a bland face that, okay, my father died. So how can you show empathy to a person who does not even need you to be empathized? So yeah, just abstain from doing overt empathy, and abstain from using your generic statement, I'm really sorry to hear that. So it tends to sound a lot of too much scripted. So yeah, if you think that this kind of genuine sympathy is needed, so yeah, you might as well sprinkle with some sympathy and empathy if need be, but do not give too much overt sympathy to the patient when it's not needed. So the fifth thing that I would advise you to not do as a PLAB-2 candidate in your exam would be, do not repeat questions. Because once you ask questions and the patient might actually give you a lot of information with the a question that you might have asked, then you have to listen actively that, okay, did he tell you that thing earlier? Because if you tend to repeat the question, the patient will actually tell you, oh doctor, I just answered that question. So we have to be an active listener. And if you have already asked the question, because at times your mind does not work and you tend to repeat the same question again, so the patient might actually tell you, doctor, you just asked me that question. You're asking me the same question again. So these kind of things might be encountered in the exam, and they might actually discourage you a little. So yeah, abstain from asking repeating question, or abstain from asking the same questions again. And the sixth thing that I would advise you to not do is, do not assume stuff. Because at times when you get a history which is very peculiar to a certain diagnosis, you tend to assume a lot of things. Like for example, if you are having a conversation with a patient and you've not asked him that he's having night sweats or not, and you have a probable diagnosis in your mind that the patient is having TB, and you might actually, in order to compile all the information and gaining time, you might actually tell, okay, as you have told me this and night sweats, and the patient might actually pause and tell, doctor, I never told you that I'm having night sweats. So this is something you assumed, and it happens a lot of time, and this is something you do at a subconscious level, because a lot of complaints are similar in a certain condition. So yeah, you have to be an active listener. Okay, did you even ask this question? So yeah, do not assume, because you might not be aware, but the patient actually say, the doctor, I never told you this. And that might be a very tricky situation. So yeah, do not assume stuff which the patient has not told you. The seventh thing I would advise you to not do in the exam is, do not ask too many questions. Because a lot of doctors tend to ask so many questions because they have been given a very linear script, and they've been advised that if a person in chest pain arrives, or if a person who comes with the cough, you need to evaluate, or you need to exclude this diagnosis. So in order to exclude all the diagnoses, doctors tend to ask a lot of questions, and they get a lot of information. And when they ask too many questions and they get too much information, a lot of time is wasted on history taking. And when they come to the diagnosis and when they go to tell the management, they don't have time left, because too much questions were asked and too much time was wasted, which was used to ask too many questions. So yeah, just abstain and do not ask too many questions. The eighth thing that I would advise you to not do in your PLAB-2 exam would be, do not give a wrong diagnosis. Because it happens a lot of time that in 8 minutes, it's very unlikely. At times you won't be able to diagnose the condition correctly, but you're having so much pressure on yourself that you need to give a diagnosis. And in that pressure, at times you might actually give some wrong diagnosis. So in order to gain marks, you gave a diagnosis which is actually wrong, although you were not even sure about that diagnosis, but you gave a diagnosis because you were supposed to give a diagnosis. Well, that's not right, because rather than gaining marks, you're actually losing marks when you give a wrong diagnosis, because you were not given marks if you give a diagnosis, but you will lose marks if you give a wrong diagnosis, and you might actually get a tick on the station as well. And you had a very good history taking, you had a very good management, but at times you might not be able to diagnose it. So yeah, rather than giving a wrong diagnosis, you can always give a differential. Okay, I'm suspecting this or that, but as of now I do not have sufficient amount of information, and I would like to refer you to this person, or I would like to involve my senior in order to make a proper diagnosis so you could be managed appropriately. And in the meanwhile, you could give a generic management in order to manage the acute complaints. So yeah, do not give a wrong diagnosis. The ninth thing I would advise you to do is, it's in the management part, that do not give too much information to the patient. Just ask, okay, this is the diagnosis, and what do you want me to tell you more? Would you like to know about the treatment a bit more? Would you like to do the medicine part? Would you like to know this? Would you like to know that? Because at times they've got some peculiar questions in their mind that they would want to know, and just ask them. For example, if there is a post-operative patient and you have to assess them in order to discharge them, so they might you were given this task to assess them as to be discharged. Just ask them, okay, you're being discharged and these medications are being given. Are you been briefed on these medications? So yeah, the patient might, yes doctor, I'm been briefed, could you please tell me about this? So yeah, if you don't ask, you would not know that what does the patient want to know, and you'll end up giving him so much information that you weren't supposed to tell, because you were supposed to tell him the lifestyle modification and the medicines were already briefed by your senior, but that information you will not get because you never asked. So yeah, do not give too much information and act smartly. And the last and the final thing I would like to advise you, do not forget to involve your senior, because you're an FY2 doctor. As of after clearing the PLAB exam, you either be FY1 or an FY2 post, and you don't have the liberty to give the diagnosis, or you don't have the liberty to discharge the patient appropriately on your treatment. It does not matter if the patient came with sore throat, it does not matter if the patient came with a simple upper respiratory tract infection. You just have to portray that you're a safe doctor. And what does a safe doctor do? The safe doctor always involves his or her senior and or refers the patient to appropriate department to be evaluated and managed appropriately. So yeah, do not forget to involve a senior. So yeah, these are the 10 things I would like your PLAB-2 candidates to not do. And one pro tip is go into the exam with a big smile and with a happy face, and be jolly, be yourself and work with your own technique, and just do not smile if it's breaking bad news. And a part of that, you can always smile and show your own jolly self or whatever technique you have. So yeah, this is about it for this video. If you like it, please like, comment and share if you like, and subscribe to my channel in order to view such understanding and easy videos. So yeah, till then, bye bye.